There is a better way to get this job done. As it turns out, Tech Team's number 722 drop bolt gate cane is the absolutely perfect solution for this particular situation. The set consists of a 24-inch solid steel cane, a mounting bracket, and 4 screws. The rod has little tabs on it that are formed right into the steel of the shaft. These tabs can move right through this little cutout that's around the hole that the rod goes through. And what happens is you can turn the rod 90 degrees, and then the tab rests on the top surface of the bracket and either stays up or down as you wish. The rod is a full 24 inches long. The rod is made from 0.49 inch thick steel, and for all intents and purposes that's really a ½ inch, so it's a real sturdy piece of goods. Both the rod and the bracket have a durable powder coat finish to give you many years of good service. Here you can get a good idea of how those little tabs on the rod work. You can see here they'll go right through that opening, and you just turn the rod 90 degrees each way, and then you can get them right through that slot. See that? And what you do is you work them through like this, and then when you turn this 90 degrees, the rod can't drop any further. That holds it in the up position. Now we can maneuver this like this so that the tabs go through that slot, and we can do the same thing down here, and we can hold the rod in the lower position so it doesn't drop too far. Another little piece of information that is going to be of some value is that the diameter of the screw is 0.14 inches. You need to know this so you know the diameter of the pilot holes that you need to drill to set the screws. For this, we've decided to use a 3/32 drill bit. Of course, you could probably use a 7/64 and still have a perfectly good result. The bracket is also heavy-duty stuff. It's a full 3 millimeters thick. This is a very simple do-it-yourself project, and the suggested tools that you're going to need to get this done are going to be a power drill, a number 2 Phillips screwdriver, and a drill index with the appropriate size drill bits. Optional items that will help produce a better job are a hacksaw, a piece of tubing or pipe, and something that will allow you to dig a hole to put the tubing or pipe in. The first thing we want to do is have something hold our gate at exactly the point we want our drop rod to hold it. First thing we want to do is take our rod and put it in the bracket so that it's being held in the uppermost position. And we're going to use this as the reference point as to exactly how high we're going to mount the bracket. We want to set that bracket so that the bottom end of the rod is just about a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch above the ground level. Okay, we got that locked in the up position. We have put this down to touch the ground and lifting it up about 1 inch, and this is going to be where we're going to set our bracket. So it's time to start marking where we're going to drill our holes. You will note that we marked for 2 holes for the lower holes in the bracket. Actually, we could have marked just 1 hole, drilled the pilot hole, and then mounted the bracket to that 1 hole. That way we have the flexibility of rotating the bracket so that we can get the rod to drop perfectly vertical, which is exactly what we want. That way it will drop seamlessly and evenly into the pocket in the ground that we're going to make for it. You will notice that we're using a manual screwdriver and not a drill driver to set these screws. The reason is that this is a vinyl fence and we don't want to strip out the vinyl. If you're worried about the vinyl not being thick enough or strong enough to support the screws and the bracket or anything else you might want to attach to a gate like this, what you should do is put a piece of wood on the inside, like a 2x4, so that the screws go into the piece of wood, and that will give them a solid purchase. All the holes are located, everything's in place. Now you need to remove the bracket. If you do not remove the bracket and you fix it to the gate with all 4 screws, you will not be able to turn the rod correctly so that you can get it to drop through. You remember those little tabs we pointed out before? Well, here's where it becomes important to pay attention to them. In order for this rod to drop through the bracket, it has to be turned just right. And one of the ways it has to be turned would be for the 90-degree end of it to be facing the gate. And of course, there's not enough room for that. The bracket's mounted. So you need to put this in place and get it through before you finalize the mounting of the bracket. Okay, we finished attaching the bracket to the gate, and we've elevated the rod so it's being held in the up position. This rod will only drop about 4 inches, so we don't have to dig a really deep hole. But we don't want to have just a hole in the ground that's going to wear out, and eventually the end of the rod is going to sit there in the mud and get rusty, and it's not going to work very well. We want to do something a little bit better. To do that, we need to make a little hole, and then we're going to take a piece of 1-inch inside diameter tubing, put that in the hole, and allow the drop rod to drop into that, and that will be a good, aesthetically pleasing and permanent solution. Tech Team happens to make this really neat auger that goes right onto your power drill, and we're going to use this to make our hole. So here's a little bit rocky, but we got this done. We're down about 8-9 inches, which is going to be more than enough for what we have to do. I'm going to put a piece of pipe in that hole, and we take a marker and look at the end of where our drop rod is in the up position, and we put a mark about 1/2-3/4 of an inch below that. And take our hacksaw and we just cut that pipe to length, and we set it in that hole just directly under our drop rod, and we backfill the dirt. Okay, now we have the rod in the up position, but if we want to hold the gate open, we just rotate it and drop it like that. And when we want to use our gate again, we lift it, rotate it 90 degrees, and now the gate swings freely. We want to leave this gate open, so there we go.